Hi everyone, welcome to today's fantastic tutorial. Today we are going to retouch this image and we are going to turn this image into something like this. So let's get started. First of all, we are going to take this image into the Lightroom and we are going to edit that, do some basic adjustment to this image, and then we are going to take this image into the Adobe Photoshop and there will be doing the final retouching. So let's get started. First of all, I'll go for the auto. Make sure you are in the develop module, which is over here, and first I will press this auto, and most of the time it fixes the problem. And as you can see, it has opened up the shadows, but we need to tweak it to our liking a little bit. So what I'll do, I'll increase the exposure a little bit and lower down the contrast so that I get more of the depth in the shadows or details in the shadows. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to open up the blacks as well, and now I will bring down the highlights a little bit. So let me bring them down to something -69, and then I will increase the clarity a little bit, not that much. So +7 is fine for this image, and I'm going to increase the saturation a little bit, not that much. So let me just go for, I think, +2, or let's try +5. Okay, +5 is fine, and then I will come down over here on the lens correction panel, which is over here. So I'm going to check the enable profile correction, and it's going to fix the lens distortion and etc. And I'm going to check the remove chromatic aberration as well. Then I'll go up on the details panel, and over here what I will do, I will increase this sharpening. So I'll drag it something like this, and now I will press and hold the Alt to turn on the masking and to see the results. So I'll drag it until I see the edges. So I want the sharpening to be only on the edges. And now I'll increase the noise reduction to something like this over here. As you can see, luminance, noise reduction, and this makes the skin smoother. And now I'm going to open this image in Adobe Photoshop and will do the rest of the editing over there. So I'll just right click, select export, and I've created a preset which is called open in Photoshop. So I'll click this and it is going to open up this in Adobe Photoshop, and we will continue our rest of the editing over there. Alright, now this image has been opened in Adobe Photoshop, and now let me zoom in and fix these problems which we have over the face. So we have some spots, so I'll create a new blank layer by clicking on this little icon, and then I will come over here and select this spot healing tool, and I'm going to paint in wherever I see these little spots. So I can zoom in, and then I'm going to remove all of these spots a little bit. And this processing has been done in the Photoshop. I'm doing it because it is very fast in Photoshop, and if you are going to do this in the Lightroom, that's very slow. So that processing takes lots of time, and that's sometimes not even that accurate, but here we can work very fast. And now we have some problem over here. So what I will do, I will select this another tool. This is the healing brush tool, which you can have the access by pressing J on your keyboard. And now we need to sample this area. So I'll press Alt or Option if you are using Mac, and then paint in, and it is going to paint in the pixels from that area, and it's going to fix that. Okay, and now we have got this kind of a result. And now over here we see some dark edges under the eyes. So we'll create another layer, and we'll choose the stamp tool by coming over here, or you can simply press S on your keyboard, and make sure over here you choose the mode as lighten, and let the opacity be 30%. So I will go for something like this, 34 or 30%. And now zoom in and press Alt to take sample from this area and paint in the eyes. So as you can see, the moment I have done it, it has lightened the dark circles under the eyes. Okay, so similarly I'll do for it. I'll take the sample from here and paint in over here. Okay, and that way we are going to lighten these areas. And over here we have some problem, so I'll again take the sample from this area and paint in, so it gets mixed or gets lightened. Okay, so take sample, and wherever you see these kind of a problem, just fix that with this method very easily. Okay, and if you want, you can lower down your size of the brush and do whatever you want. Alright, and now I think we have done the basic editing or removal of the spots from the face, and now we are going to create a stamp copy or the merged copy of all the layers. So for that purpose, we'll press Ctrl Shift Alt E, and it's going to create a merged copy of all the layers. And now we are going to make the skin smoother. So for that purpose, I'll use the Google Nik Collection Color EFX Pro. So I'll go to the filter, Nik Collection, and go to the Color EFX Pro 4, and it is going to launch up. And now from here I need to pick the filter which is called the dynamic skin softener, and over here I'll click on this skin color picker tool, and I'll take the sample from the dark area which is over here, and it is going to make the skin smoother instantly. And I can adjust these sliders to get the result I want. So I can bring down the color reach, I can bring down some small details and medium details. I can adjust them whether I want them or I want to remove them completely. And by pressing this compare button, I can see the result by turning it on and off. You can see how smooth the skin has become after I applied this dynamic skin softener filter. And once I'm happy with the result, press OK. Okay, now we have got this result, and now we are going to apply my cinematic look to this image, and for that purpose I'm going to use my cinematic Photoshop action. So for that purpose I will come over here, and first of all I will select all the layers and merge them together by pressing Ctrl A, and that's going to create a background. Okay, and for using this cinematic action you have to use the background. So I will come over here on the actions panel, select this T and O cinematic look and press the play button, and it's going to create all these settings for us, or these layers, with just simple click, and we need to just turn them on one by one. So first is going to make this darker, so we'll get this kind of a result, and now we need to refine it. So for that purpose we'll use the gradient tool, and which you can access by pressing G, or you can coming over here and click on this gradient, and it's going to open the gradient editor, and make sure you select the black to transparent gradient and press OK, and make sure you select this linear style. Okay, and now remove or create a gradient from which side you don't want the darkness. So I don't want this side to be dark, so I'll click and drag it to this side, and it's going to take away the blackness or the darkness from this area. And if I want, I can make it once more, because I have low opacity over here. You can see 20% opacity, so that's fine. I'm happy with the result, and you can see the result by turning it on and off, and we can fix it later on. Over here we lost some details in the shadows, but don't worry, we are going to fix it. Otherwise what we can do, we can lower down the opacity as well. So we can lower down its opacity to something of our liking, or I can go 100% and use the brush tool with soft as brush, which has 0 hardness and opacity around 10%. With 10% opacity, I'm going to paint with the black color, which is over here, as you can see. And now I'm going to paint in little bit on the face so that we get some clear face. Okay, and now turn on the another one, and this is going to make the skin tone warmer. Okay, so this is for the warmer tone, and if you want, you can adjust your opacity according to the effect you want. All right, if you want the skin to be too dark, you can adjust that, or if you want the lower warmer tone in the skin, you can adjust or lower down the opacity of this layer by coming over here. Okay, and now let's turn on the grade, and this is going to grade this image. And you can see over here we got some red or some green hue and green shadows, and we will turn the next grade 1, and this is going to add this blue tone over here. So we need to match both these together, because on this side if we have green, on this side it should also have the green, but I like the blue most, so I'll change the screen to the blue. So what I'll do, I'll select this grade layer which is over here, and I'm going to double click it. It is going to open up these property panels, and from here I'm going to choose the blacks, and now I will adjust these settings. Over here we have these sliders, we can adjust cyan, magenta, yellow and blackness. So we'll change this to something like this until we get the blue color. Okay, so we'll bring down the yellow, and over here you can see right now we have got the blue color, and I can play with the sliders to get the result I want. So I'll go for something like this, and I can adjust the blackness of it as well. So I will bring down the blackness to something like this so that we get some faded look. And now we will come over here and turn on the another vignette effect layer, and this is going to make it more darker. And similarly, if you want, you can click on this vignette effect and choose the brush tool with the black color, paint wherever you don't want this darkness to take place. So I will go for something like this. And now we will turn the final color grade more. If you want it to be more graded, then you can turn it on, otherwise you can leave it as it is. And now you can see we have done this cinematic look. This is very dark, very warm, but if you want to lower down the warmness, because I feel this warmness is too much, so I will lower down the opacity even further. So maybe something like this. I will go for something like this. And now we need to add little bit spark to the eyes. As you can see right now we are not able to see any details in the eyes. Okay, so for that purpose we will zoom in, and over here on the highlights and over here on these highlights we are going to paint in with the adjustment brush, which is adjustment layer. So I'll click and select the brightness and contrast. I'll increase the brightness to something like this, and what I will do, I will press Ctrl I or Command I to undo it and zoom in with brush tool, this time with the white color. If it is not white, press X and it is going to flip it, and zoom in and make sure you have the low opacity around 10% and paint in over here on these highlights. So what it is basically doing, it's basically painting in the brightness on that area with that brush tool, so that we get some little bit spark or some little bit more light in the eyes. And now you can see we have got this result, and if you want more then you can paint more. Okay, it's as simple as that. If you want, you can paint in on these sides as well. You can use the dose and burn technique as well if you don't know all the techniques of dose and burn. And if you are interested in doing that, you can watch my other tutorials or my pro tutorial, which has a course complete around 1 hour plus course, where I have explained each and every dosing and burning technique, using which you can literally increase the depth and detail in your image. Okay, so you can see we have made the slightest of difference to this image, and finally we'll create a one more stamp copy of it. So we'll press Ctrl Alt Shift E or Command Option Shift E if you are using the Mac, and then we'll go to the filter, select sharpen and select unsharp mask, and we'll choose the radius which we want. So for this image I will zoom in to see what kind of a result I'm getting. So I think 54% or let's say 80% is fine, so I'll press OK, and it is going to apply the sharpening to this image, and you can see the result by turning it on and off. Okay, and this is our final result. So let me just show you by pressing F on my keyboard. So this is our final result. So thank you so much. I hope you liked today's episode, and please do let me know what you think about today's episode, and if you have any question, please do let me know in the comment section.